Hello, Lloyd Ruhl, aka MegaBlitzz, and in today's video we're looking at the Joinville Day 2 decks. Now, I originally was going to combine the Joinville Regionals and the Dortmund Regional video and kind of just go over both of them at the same time. However, the Dortmund and kind of going through all those Day 2 deck lists took about 20 minutes of recording time, so I ended up ultimately splitting them. So if you haven't watched the Dortmund Day 2 kind of recap decks video, definitely check that out as well. But this one, we're going to be going in the Joinville ones here. And let's just say I am not disappointed in the first place finish Luiga deck here. Now, this is very similar to the list that I've been playing. The only difference to my list is I'm not playing Wellspring Ogre Pawn EX. Instead, I'm playing a Squawkabilly to get set up a little bit faster, and I also cut a Thornton for a Weird Deer V. But overall, this is almost the exact 60 that I've been playing, which feels really good. So nicely done. Luiga just showing it still has what it takes to go the distance. And once again, Luiga has these like this thing where it can make cool plays. The package of Luiga is just good. Being able to just primal turbo energies to your dudes. Luiga is bulky and has a decent attack as is. On top of them printing this Cincino card, which its special roll attack makes it so it does 70 more damage for each special energy attached to this Pokemon. Makes it hit like a truck. So, and then they print Legacy Energy, and then they give us Iron Hands with the Ambi very much on top of the Wellspring Ogre Pawn. And I will also say it makes it so we can Aqua return our Lumineon V again, which feels really good. And something else I want to point out real quick that a lot of people, I guess, maybe don't know, maybe they do. At a league challenge, not the cup. I played a cup on Saturday, and then I played a challenge that following Monday and played the exact same 60. At the challenge, I took 3 prize cards with my Pheasantipity EX playing Luiga. I literally just double turbo, put a gift on there, and just pulled something up in the active spot they didn't want, and then just Cruel Arrow, Cruel Arrow, Cruel Arrow. Got rid of Pidgey, Amander, and Amander. And it was kind of one of those things where I took 3 prize cards with my Pheasantipity. It was able to take an attack from a Dragapult, and then I ultimately just let it get knocked out, taking another KO, putting us at like a 3-4 split ultimately. Yeah, you can attack with Pheasantipity if you need to, which is pretty cool. I've also used it to finish off other attacks on bench Pokemon before. There have been times where like my opponents, like their other Lugia, or just sometimes like a different V-Star or whatever on the bench just has too much damage on it. And I'm just like, Cruel Arrow, knock it out, take 2 prize cards. Like it feels good. So nicely done, Luiga making its way there. We got Terapagos Dusknoir here. Nothing too crazy going on in this list. Kind of something very similar to we've been seeing with the Briar. Got the Thornton in there, which is pretty cool. It would make cool Thornton plays. We got the Klawf Electrode as well here. Now, there was a Klawf deck in Day 2 at Dortmund, and I said it then and I'll say it again. I don't think this deck is real. I would like for it to be real, but I don't think it is, unfortunately. And I would like for it to be real, but it just doesn't quite feel it. It's a lot of like weird one-ofs like Course of Tenacity and Carmine to get set up. You're playing like Lotto and Super Effective Glasses, and it's like one-of Hisuian Electro V to be able to deal with Charizard. Sometimes you can kind of get there, but you got to be able to like Binding Mochi, get your stuff poisoned, and then attach the Super Effective Glasses so it'll hit for even more damage. That's the only way you can deal with Charizard in this deck, actually. So you have to, Binding Mochi or whatever, get it poisoned, and then, or just Brute Bonnet, get it poisoned, attach these Super Effective Glasses as well. Sorry, I think it's just Super Effective Glasses, right? Because Binding Mochi doesn't get you there, because it's 100, and then for each special condition, but you don't have Spicy Season Curry, so you're only hitting for 100. Put that on 40, times that by 2, you're at 280. So you don't quite get there. So you have to have the Super Effective Glasses on it and then have it poisoned so it hits for 300. And then it dies to poison with Raiden, Hisuian, Sneasler. Because then you can poison both. So that's how you KO Charizards in this deck. Which is a lot to KO one Charizard, in my opinion. But once again, really cool. Glad Klawf is kind of still around. It was a cool deck. earlier before, kind of back when. And let's take a look here. I can't quite remember when it was popular. Kind of like right around here. Yeah, like right around like Portland, Oregon, stuff like that. Like these were kind of the lists that we used to see. Was like the Klawf, the Electro, the barrels, and drawing a bunch of stuff, things like that. So these were the lists we used to see. I'm glad that Klawf's still kind of around. Then we had this like Klawf Cramorant thing for a bit, which was pretty fun. But not Tropico's Dusknoir deck. We got an Iron Thorns deck here. Nothing too crazy going on with this. Just kind of simplistic. Got the Giovanni's Charisma, which is pretty neat. It says put an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon into their hand. And if you do, attach an energy card from your hand to your active Pokemon. So you kind of get to attach twice, which is pretty cool. One with a KO, a Iron Thorns, which is pretty nice. You got a Stall deck here. We got a Charizard. We got a Raging Bull here in top 8 as well. So nothing too crazy going on with the Raging Bull deck. Let's take a look at this Charizard list here. Playing Maximum Belt, which is pretty cool. Kind of probably wanted to deal with other Charizards and stuff like that. Maybe other Dragapults in the format or something. Want to be able to deal with those. Maybe Raging Bolts as well, kind of early on. Because if they take one prize card, you're going to hit them for what, 210? And then you can just make the 210 plus that 50 into KO on a Raging Bolt. Also, if you have 180 and you're playing against Raging Bolt, you can just go attach Maximum Belt, KO your Ogerpon, which is your worst enemy in that matchup is the Ogerpon, actually. KO the Ogerpon, and then take 2, and then they're down on Ogerpon, plus whatever energy they may have put on that Ogerpon, which is pretty nice. So, got that going for you as well. Also, I think it might be a little interesting if you guys have watched the Dortmund video. Yes, I'm wearing the exact same shirt. It's the same colorness behind me, and I'm drinking the same Cherry Pepsi out of the same cup because I'm recording these back to back. So that's pretty interesting fact for you. We got a Roaring Moon deck here in day 2 as well. Playing the Darkrai V and V-Star. Now I will say I'm actually a huge fan of the Darkrai V-Star in Roaring Moon. Being able to just like Star Abyss, get your stuff back, get some Dark Patches back, your Prime Catcher or whatever, I feel like is so good and really underrated. And I understand you want to go fast, you want a turbo, I totally get that. But just, I don't know, just sometimes like Darkrai just feels good. When it works and it just like helps you out, it just feels so good. But also playing a Dusknoir line in here, which I think is pretty cool. I guess you're playing 3 rare candy because you're trying to hit it on Pokestops. So maybe they got that going for you. Got a Poké Noctowl here. Take a peek at that. We got Iron Leaves in the deck to be able to deal with Charizard. We're actually trying to use Crown Opal in the deck, it looks like, because we are playing that 1 Lightning Energy. So we're actually trying to use Crown Opal. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense if you're playing against like Roaring Moon or Miraidon, Iron Thorns, any of like the big basic decks. Raging Bolt is another one. During your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon from basic non-normal type Pokemon. So, hey, that's pretty cool. Basically just lock them out of the game potentially, and it looks like it kind of worked because this person placed 12th at Joinville. So, hey, nicely done. You got Regidrogo here. Nothing too crazy with the Regidrogo deck. Playing Goodra, it's kind of like the only thing we're really looking for is if you're playing Goodra, you're playing 2 Cologne or playing 1 Cologne, playing 1 Cologne. Got to play the Kyurem, got to get all that stuff going on in there. Another Regidrogo. We got an Iron Thorns deck. Nothing too crazy. Like I said, Giovanni's Charisma, stuff like that. We got Pidgeot Control here, though, which, once again, I love this Genesect card. The Ace Nullifier. If it has a tool attached, your opponent can't play any Ice Bet cards from their hand, so no Prime Catcher, no Sparkling Crystal, no Maximum Belt, none of that stuff. Luiga gets around this because you can just turbo the Legacy Energy, which I think is really cool. But this Genesect card is really good. No Unfair Stamp as well. No Secret Box. No Secret Box. Tons of Ace Books, so you just can't play. If they can get that set up on the bench and you can just... And you can't KO it. It really does punish you. Got a Dragapult deck here. A little bit different, playing the Hoot Noctowl package with Pidgeot plus Phantom Rotom and all that extra stuff. Which I think is pretty interesting. Another Dragapult deck up here. And we will come to find out, too, that we're going to notice that a lot of these Dragapult decks are not going to be like the first place Dortmund list. Because people in Japan play very differently than kind of the rest of the world. You know, they play double Rotom and they're playing in a best of 1 like all the time, as opposed to us, where we're playing in a best of 3 at a lot of our bigger tournaments. So we kind of, they test a little bit differently, I would imagine, but still pretty cool. Got a Charizard Pidgeot here, got a Dragapult Pidgeot. Nothing too crazy going on with that. Got another Lugia deck. That's is that the next list? That's the next Lugia list. Yeah, so the next Lugia list is 21st place. Very similar to the first place list. Like I said, the only thing big different is like that list is playing Great Ball. This has Weird Deer in it. But realistically, a lot of the Lugia lists are kind of just mostly the same. 3-3 Lugia V and V-Star line, 4 Chops. You're playing some combination of 3-2 or 2-2 Rat. Playing the Iron Hands, you're playing the Blood Moon Ursaluna, you're playing Double Fish. Some people are playing Squawk, some people aren't playing Squawk, some people are playing Carmine. So I would argue that a lot of the Lugia lists we're going to see are basically the same core 55, 56 cards. And then change the last 5 or 4 cards to either Squawk or Carmine or Weird Deer. Great Balls or not. Overall, it ends up being very similar, which I think is kind of interesting. I mean, we kind of have Lugia solved. We've had it for so long, it rotates here in like 4 or 5 months. But a lot of these cards we kind of have solved. You know, Charizard we have solved. We have Lugia solved. You know, we got Raging Bolt solved already. A lot of these decks we kind of have figured out, per se. Another Raging Bolt deck, actually, here. Playing the Sandy Shocks. Nothing too crazy here with that. Playing the Briar, which Briar I feel like is really good in Raging Bolt. However, I also feel like it's one of those things where it ultimately just doesn't change much if you can't get it when you need it. And the thing with Briar is I feel like it works best in a Pidgeot deck because you can just quick search for the Briar. But in decks like Raging Bolt, you have to be able to draw into it or already have it in your hand. And like sometimes it doesn't work out like that, which kind of stings. So Raging Bolt, though, still doing well. We got another Iron Thorns, another Lugia, another Iron Thorns. A lot of Iron Thorns, it seems, going on here in Joinville. People must love their Iron Thorns in Joinville. So we got another Regidrago, Charizard. We got a Stall deck here, playing the 2 Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon. Playing the Chi-Yu for the Jealousy Singe. We got 2 Machinations, 2 Eerie. You know, got 3 Penny, got the Cape, Handheld Fan. So pretty standard stall list. And like I said, a lot of the stall lists are going to be very similar. It's kind of like, are you playing 2 Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon or 1? Are you playing the Chi-Yu and Fire Energy or are you not? So it's like kind of stuff like that where it's like, because like Chi-Yu can do other stuff too. Like you can do other cool things if you're playing 2 Fire Energy where you can like Flame Surge and kind of like punch things for 100, which is pretty neat. But a lot of times it doesn't end up working like that. Tropico's Dusknoir deck here. Got another Regidrago. Got a Lost Sablezard deck, however. Let's take a peek at that. We got Lost Sablezard, got Cramorant, got 2 Sableye, got a Raikou in there, got the Iron Hands. Spiritome in there, which I'm not too sure why you'd play the Spiritome. I mean, like, I guess shut off Luminions. Because it's just basic Vs, so I guess you shut off, like, other Miraidon decks, maybe? Like their Raikou V. The only thing I can think of is just shutting off the Luminion. You don't want your opponent to use Luminion, apparently. But I can't think of anything else. Not off the top of my head, anyway. You got the Iron Bundle in there. Be able to Hyper Blower or Refrigerated Stream. Actually, we can't. We have no water energy in the deck. Cruel Arrow. You can still attack with that. You got the Pheasantipity in there, though. Got the 4 Seal Stone to attach to the Raikou. So glad to see Lost Box is still kind of around a little bit. As someone who played tons and tons of Lost Tina, I'm glad to see Lost Box is still kind of alive a little bit, even if it's just a sliver. It makes me happy just because I love, one of my favorite feelings in the Pokemon TCG, even though I've only been playing for about 2-ish years now, maybe about 1.5 years, one of my favorite feelings is just flower selecting, switch cart, flower selecting, you know, Star Red. Like, I loved the Lost Tina Path of the Peak Roxanne deck. That was like one of my favorite decks. I earned like 250 championship points just strictly off playing that deck. So, really enjoyed Lost Tina a lot. Glad to see Lost Box is still here. Regidrago. We got Terrapago's Dusknoir. Nothing too crazy. Very similar to kind of the rest of the lists we're seeing. Playing Briar. A lot of lists playing Briar, though. I'm actually kind of curious. I wonder if we can see... okay, it's just going to show me, like, Charizard stuff. Okay, never mind. I thought it was going to show us something different, but it didn't, ultimately. Got another Klawf Electro. Got a Lugia here. Playing the Wellspring Ogerpon, which I think is interesting. So just trying to take the benefit from everyone else's Area Zero underdepths. And I remember, I believe it was Ethan Wild, I think was his name. He played in the Dortmund Regionals playing Lugia and had won on stream and had made a comment and said, I'm playing Wellspring Ogre Pawn because I want to be able to benefit from my opponent playing Area Zero underdepths. Play that. Play the Wellspring Ogre Pawn down. Sometimes you can attack with it, sometimes you don't, but bench it anyway. And then you can Tempest Dive, remove the stadium, and remove some of your like liabilities on your bench, your Squawk ability, your Luminion if you can't Aqua Return, you know, even just other stuff like Mincino if you don't have the Cincinos anymore. Just different things like a damaged Lugia V-Star maybe even, which I think is really cool. But ultimately pretty neat. Playing Irida to actually find the Wellspring Ogre Pawn or the Iron Bundle here, and then finding an item, which is also pretty neat. Finding yourself, you know, Ultra Ball or Nest Ball or Great Ball, so you can just like thin the deck or find a piece that you're missing. Got a Klawf Electro deck. Is that a second Klawf? It's a second Klawf deck in Joinville. What is happening here? Okay, so pretty much the exact same 60, playing Secret Box, trying to get rid of stuff. Got the Spirit Tome in there, nothing too crazy. Not super effective glasses though, so having a hard time dealing with Charizard. But still pretty okay. Actually, wait, no. Okay, no. So actually, you can also deal with it this way, right? With the Petra Run? Because then you can just go, I don't know if the math works. 280 plus 5, no, 330. It does work. Because you can just go, okay, Tantrum Blast, hit for 200, and then 40 times by 40. So then that's 80. So 280 plus the 5, 330. So if you had the Petra Run in play, and both Pokemon are poisoned, it will get knocked out afterwards. So you can deal with Charizard, which is pretty cool. And obviously you can deal with other decks too. You know, the Klawf's also really good for that. Klawf Electro is really good in like the Charizard Arceus format we had for a while. That's when it really thrived because just Klawf hits weakness on the Arceus, Electrode hits weakness on the Charizards. You can deal with Miraidon because it also hits weakness. That's when the deck really thrived. We got another stall deck here. Charizard Pidgeot, Dragapult Pidgeot, Charizard Pidgeot. Nothing too crazy playing the Dusknoir in here. Check and see if this one's playing Dusknoir. Yep, also playing the Dusknoir list. Dusknoir in the list. We got another Raging Bolt. Nothing too crazy in this Raging Bolt list here, it seems. Just kind of the standard. Playing the Briar, got the Iono, got a lot of extra goodies. Got another stall, another Charizard, another stall, another Palkia Noctowl here. So, let's go up here to the statistics, take a look. Got 9 counts of Charizard at about 16%, 8 at about a 14% for Raging Bolt, at 10, 11% for Terapagos, 11% at 6 decks for Regidrogo, 11% at 6 decks for Stall as well. Got 5 for about 9% for Iron Thorns. We got about 7% for 4 counts of Lugia. About 5% for 3 Dragapult, about 3.5%, 4% for Klawf at 2 decks, 3 to 4% for 2 counts at Pidgeot Control, and then also 3 to 4% for 2 counts for Palkia and Roaring Moon as well. And then the one lone Lost Box deck kind of just hanging out. But overall, Lugia ends up getting a good amount of points with a 45 count of points. But this kind of just helps because it ended up winning, right? Like, we had first place, 21st, 26th, and then 43rd overall. And then Dortmund also was just full of Lugia. Tons of Lugia at Dortmund as well. I also want to point out Iron Thorns really kind of just showing up here at Joinville and Dortmund for a lot more than I thought it would, to be honest. But Iron Thorns is one of those decks where you hit the right matchups, you hit your Charizards, you hit your Lugias, and you're kind of off to the races. So that's pretty cool. You got that going for you. But absolutely incredible. Just 2 regionals back-to-back in the same weekend with Joinville and with Dortmund. So absolutely just great place to start for your testing if you're going to Louisville. Speaking of Louisville, I will actually also be attending the Louisville regionals as long with a handful of friends of mine and my significant other as well. We'll all be going to Louisville. 3 out of the 5 of us will be competing. Not too sure what we're going to be playing quite yet, but we are in that testing phase, going to be testing all kinds of decks in the upcoming weeks. I'm really excited for that. But if you guys enjoy the content I've been making stuff for the channel, don't forget to leave a like, smash the subscribe button. I would appreciate it. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!